So, welcome back everyone to the Darts with Jack podcast, and today I have the amazing Jared Cole. So, welcome Jared to the podcast.
Hi Jack, nice to be here. Obviously, very happy to be invited.
So, obviously, the first thing I want to talk about is the influencer event that you were in on the weekend. So, obviously, you are partnered with Cole Anderson James, who obviously is a massive following on TikTok. So, did you feel any pressure playing with someone who's got obviously that massive fan base?
I guess in a way, but obviously, almost every influencer in that room was sort of like a bit of a celebrity. So it was, yeah, I guess there was added pressure on all the players. So I can't say I was purposely selected, like sort of for that position, but like obviously playing with Cole, it sort of brings its own pressure because he's a really nice guy, and you kind of want to do him some justice. Because yeah, I would love to win a couple of games with him, but fortunately, didn't go to plan.
Obviously, I think the big talking story of the event is you lost to George Scaife and Adam Lipscomb, and obviously they went on to win the event. But the absolutely incredible thing is that George, obviously with his first three darts, hit a 180. So did you really expect that to come from the tournament at all?
No, to put it simply, sort of like you don't know what's coming. Obviously, in the practice room, I can see everyone throwing, and I mean, some people were threatening good scores and like sort of hitting a couple of 140s, 125s, etc. But I wasn't expecting them to walk on stage and hit a 180 first free. I don't think anyone was really, and it certainly took the internet by storm. So fair play to George.
Yeah, obviously you've played a lot at the Modus recently, and the big talking point for you is in March you hit a nine darter, obviously, and it's the first Modus nine darter of the year. So how does it feel going onto a stage which is so popular? You know, getting a couple of thousand views on the live streams. How did it feel going and performing that well in front of so many people?
Yeah, it felt really good. Obviously, a lot of eyes on that event, so it was good for me to just sort of like obviously get my own name out there as well. So it was really good. Well, to be honest, like that stage for me almost feels like home, where I'm sort of doing a bit of work behind the scenes there as well. So yeah, when I play at Modus, it almost feels like I'm at home. So yeah, hopefully next time I'm there, I'll come home with a weekly win. But we'll see what happens.
Obviously, you know, you hit that nine darter as well, which is just incredibly impressive for any player. But were you like happy obviously that it came on the stage that you've been playing so well on?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously hitting a nine darter anywhere is a cause for celebration, but to do it in front of like on a live stage, obviously in front of a lot of people, and well, with all the people viewing and watching, it was yeah, it was good to sort of get it recorded because I've hit a few nine darters, I've hit a couple in practice, I've hit one on the PDC, but that's the first time I've been able to actually watch it back. So it was quite cool to sort of like work out what I did right and why I played well and why I didn't. So
Yeah,
yeah,
obviously,
I
I think as well that's one of the massive talking points as well with the PDC. Obviously, on the Pro Tours, you know they've added a couple more streaming boards. So now for each of the Pro Tours, you've got the four streaming boards, and obviously one of I think you said on your Twitter actually your biggest moment. Obviously, you beat Peter Wright 6-3 last June in Players Championship 14. Obviously, for you being that your biggest win so far in your career, were you so happy that that was on a streaming board so you could watch it back, and obviously your friends, your family, and your supporters could watch it back?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had a lot of friends and family who messaged me on the sort of day, like, oh my God, can't believe it. And obviously, I won't take too much credit for the fact that obviously it sounds a lot better than it was because Peter was going through a bit of a struggle at that point. But for me, playing against someone like Peter, it was a bit surreal. And obviously, he was the world number two at the time. So there was a lot of pressure on the back of my mind. But it was almost a free hit at the professional circuit and obviously a chance to play one of the best. So took it with both hands and obviously very happy to get the win. And as you say, I can learn a lot from it because I can watch it back and sort of, as I say, I can learn what went well, what didn't go right, and where I can improve in my own game.
I think obviously the great thing about even like playing obviously on the professional circuit is like you've played in the PDC, you've played in the development tours, and obviously last year you won a development tour in itself. So how did that feel for you in general?
Well, I mean, as I say, I'm quite for my age, I'm quite experienced on the development tour and obviously the PDC circuit now. But it's always brilliant, like going on to any tour. It always feels like you've got an like it's an occasion, you know, it doesn't happen every weekend, and it's something that you psych yourself up for. And for me now, playing PDC darts feels normal. So I guess in that regard, it's really, really insightful because I've learned so much about my own game, how I feel playing against some of the top players, as well as playing against some of the best youth in the world. And obviously, winning a tournament just proves that I can land like stay up there with them. Basically, it's a lot of confidence you can take from it.
I think as well, obviously, I don't think, well, many people who have recently come into darts, especially because of the World Championships and Luke Littler, the whole buzz around young darts as well, is that everyone knows the PDC. They don't know, obviously, the WDF, or especially for you, you're a massive county player as well. So, how would you say playing on like the county circuit differs from playing in, let's say, Modus or the PDC?
Well, for a start, obviously, as you say, there's a lot more eyes on the PDC and everything's sort of in black and white in front of you. You can go through every leg in depth analysis of what went well and what went wrong. So I think with the PDC, there's just so much more. Well, it's in the name professional, like sort of it is a professional setup. And I think with the WDF and the county systems, it's great because it's sort of like the stepping stone for the people who want to try and get to the top of the very best of the game. But then in the same sense, it holds its own prestige because the WDF is iconic for obviously what it used to be in the BDO and having like Lakeside and all the other incredible venues that it used to possess at your sort of mercy. Obviously, it brings in its own sort of insightful nature, but for me, like the ultimate goal is to be at the top of the PDC, and so like sort of being able to play in the others and build the experience and gain basically reputation and obviously ability. It's incredible.
And obviously, for you playing, you've played on the PDC, you've played in Modus, you've played on the county. So obviously with county, there's so many people who go along and follow it. But in Modus, you only have the crowd in on a Saturday night. So do you feel that you play better under the pressure of having a crowd watching you, or do you play better on your own, etc.?
Um, a bit of both, really. I mean, if you feel good when you've got a crowd behind you, it gives you the extra element of like sort of adrenaline and it helps you play the very peak of your game. But then if you're not 100% or you're having a bad day, let's say, for example, the last thing you want to do is have the crowd on your back. So it's a bit of a two-way table, I guess. Like sort of you can take both sides of it. But for me, I'm very much a like people person. So I love playing in front of people, especially when I'm playing well. There's not much that I can think of that I'd prefer to do, really.
And obviously, well, actually, talk about there's not much you prefer to do. Obviously, you're a part-time chef as well, going away a bit from the darts. So, how did that come about? And is it something you want to do full time, or would you rather play the darts full time?
Well, I was a full-time chef originally, but I've sort of like tried to basically quieten it down so that I can put more time into darts. With the chefing, it's great, and it's obviously great for me going forward. Obviously, I want to become a professional dart player, and it's a sort of like it's a skill that you should probably keep with you for the rest of your life. Obviously, where you move away and where you travel, you stay in hotels and you stay in B&Bs and stuff. The opportunity to cook like healthy homegrown like food is massive because obviously the following day you can wake up and feel so much better knowing that your body's been given what it needs.
Yeah, obviously, for most of the people, obviously, like you still see people with part-time jobs, obviously playing darts because it's such a hard sport to get into. We saw the likes of Cameron Menzies, obviously having his plumbing shift before he went into the World Championship. But talking about you and your nickname, where did your nickname, the King of the Castle, really come from?
So it's quite an interesting story. It was back in my sort of hometown in Hertfordshire. Obviously, still play county for them, but I've moved away now. But long story short, there was a competition and a place called the Castle Club in Hertford. And I played there several years running and I kept winning their tournament. And to put it simply, I just became the king of the castle. And to sort of like, for better yet, they were the first team, like people to actually get behind me and support me. So, yeah, sort of like they earned the right to have my nickname. So, in that sense, it's something that stuck with me. When I was a little kid, I was nicknamed King of the Castle because I kept winning there. And they supported me. So, I thought I'd show them the honourable thing and support them back.
I think obviously It's so heartwarming these days because you see so many stories of people, obviously Littler playing at the Darts Academy, having to play 10 years up his age group and stuff. And these, obviously, young people getting into darts, especially, are playing so much more local darts and then trying to get into the big darts, the PDC, going to Q school. So for you yourself, where do you get your inspiration for darts? Because it's a question that obviously a lot of people on my Instagram are asking me to ask with people I interview. And so where did you really get your inspiration to play darts?
So for me, my inspiration came from my family. My mum and my dad were both county dart players for Hertfordshire. So for me, I'm sort of born and bred into the darts world, and so I've sort of I play in my dad's name because unfortunately he passed away quite young. But it was like in his name that I represent. He's got the same initials as me as well, so it works out quite well. And I tried to sort of like play this game in the best spirit and obviously in memory of him. So yeah, it worked. It's really cool for me.
And obviously, you've won the development tour. You've done really well at Modus. You've hit a 9-darter in the PDC. You've hit a 9-darter at Modus. You're a big county player. But for you, let's say this time in a year, where would you like to be with your darts?
Ideally, I'd have a tour card, to put it simply. I want to be a professional tour card holder, and that is the aim. Obviously, putting a lot of hours into the game at the moment, being able to because of the backing and support I've been given. So I'm very grateful for that. But obviously, I just want to give something back, and by getting on the tour, it gives me the full element of I'm a professional dart player rather than being a part-time. Sort of like when I can play, when I can't, it's sort of like the opportunities are there if you can take them. And obviously for me, I'm trying now to take them.
So apart from the venues you've already played, obviously you've played in the UK Open and stuff. If you could play in one venue, where would you play?
It's got to be Ali Pali. I mean, I can't look away from Ali Pali. Obviously, it's a dream for me. I've been there as a spectator and in the crowd. I'd love to play on that stage, and hopefully I'll get my chance.
Right, so thank you, Jared, for answering those big questions. We're now going to move on to the 11 quickfire questions I have for you, if that is okay.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So, what is your favourite tournament?
Favorite tournament? I'm going to say the UK Open.
Would you rather win the World Cup with your best friend or the World Championship?
I'm going to say the World Championship, although I would happily do either.
What is your favourite double to hit?
I'm a big double 16 man, so double 16 for me.
What is your highest average to date?
Oh, I don't actually know. I think recorded it's 111, but it might be higher. I'm actually not sure on that.
Who is your best friend within the world of darts?
I'm gonna say Conor Arbery.
What gram of darts are you currently using?
I'm using 23-gram target darts.
What would you say is the highlight of your career so far?
I either the 2 development tour wins or the Pro Tour quarterfinal.
Now, what would be your walk-on song if you played at Ali Pali?
My current one, King of My Castle by Roy Malone.
Do you have a certain pre-match meal?
Not necessarily. I just try not to overload myself. So anything that's not really high in carbs, because you're sort of like you don't need that much fuel to play darts.
Do you have any, obviously before a game you have, when you're on the stage or you're on the floor, you have 9 or 12 darts to warm up. What do you use those darts for?
A variation of things. Sometimes I'll throw at the bullseye, sometimes I'll throw at the treble 20, can go for doubles. It all depends on what comes naturally. I let my arm do what it wants to do.
And so for your final question on this week's podcast, if you could choose anyone in the entire world of darts, who would be your pairs partner?
Oh, well, if I want to win a tournament, I'll probably say Luke Littler. Let's say my brother, Rex Cole.
Right. Thank you, Jared. I hope you've enjoyed coming on the podcast. It's been a great pleasure to have you on, and I wish you all the best for the year ahead.
Thank you very much, Jack. And yeah, pleasure to be here. Cheers for the invite.
Right, so I'm sure you've all realised that was just an absolutely incredible interview, and it was a great pleasure to welcome Jared onto the podcast this week, and I hope you guys got some insight into the world of darts from that. So it's been a busy week in the world of darts. We've had development tours, we've had a Euro tour, we've had obviously a Premier League night. So let's start with the development tour. I'm just going to go from the earliest development tour from the weekend, which is in Hildesheim. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. I know it's somewhere. Where is it? I cannot find it. But let's see, I think it's in Hildesheim. So right, here we go. In Development Tour 6, which was held on Friday, the 3rd of May, it was Roman Benecki who took the title, beating Thomas Banks, who actually averaged about 5 points higher than him. And that was the last leg decider going Benecki's way. Jared is actually playing in these Development Tours this weekend, so please go give some love to him if you can. In Development Tour 7, it was John van Veen, who had a lovely 94 average, beating Nathan Rafferty 5-1 in the final, who had an 87 average. In Development Tour 8, it was a good win for Wessel this name I always pronounce wrong, Wessel Nijman. I'm really sorry if I got that wrong, who averaged a massive 113.03, beating Nico Springer, who hit that famous 9-darter, 95.39 in a last leg decider. In Development Tour 9, it was a win for Nathan Rafferty, getting revenge over Jean van Veen. Obviously, he didn't beat Jean van Veen in the final, he beat Danny Jansen in the final 5-2. Rafferty a 90 average, facing Danny Jansen's 81, so a great game from there. And as I'm recording this, Development Tour is going on right now. It's only in the top 128. But yeah, it's been a good weekend for Development Tours. I'm pretty sure I did cover the Premier League night in Aberdeen last week, so let's move on to the Premier League night in Liverpool. It was the week before. It's in Aberdeen this week. So, obviously a big night, Aberdeen. Gerwyn Price sadly pulled out with a back injury before. John Henderson was in the audience and many people were calling for him to be included. Sadly, that's not how these things work, but we would have all loved him greatly. So, in the first quarter-final, it was Michael Smith versus Peter Wright. Peter Wright plays really well in this quarter-final. I do believe he threatened a 9-darter once, but I may be wrong on that, so obviously correct me if I'm wrong. And it was in, obviously, Aberdeen, so Peter Wright's kind of home-ish venue. It was an average of 92 for Peter Wright compared to 96 from Michael Smith. So not a dominant performance from Michael Smith. Littler v Aspinall. Aspinall missed match darts to beat Luke Littler, both averaging in the 90s, but Littler only 0.17 off 100 average. In the third quarter-final, Rob Cross beat Michael Van Gerwen in the last leg decider 6-5. Van Gerwen averaged 108. They were both averaging 115 at one point. It was an absolutely ridiculous game. Obviously, Luke Humphries got a bye to the next round due to Gerwyn Price pulling out. And in the first semi-final, Littler dominated Michael Smith 6-1. And this was just an absolutely ridiculous performance. Littler averaged 110. Michael Smith, averaging 97, would have beat people on most days. But yeah, he was dominant. Littler with a 144 being his highest checkout. In the second semi-final of the night, it was Rob Cross who beat Luke Humphries 6-5. A bit of a shock there, I think it's fair to say. Cross averaged 95. Humphries averaged 95. Humphries actually hit 3 more 180s. So a bit of a shock there. But in the final, it was Luke Littler 6. Rob Cross 4, Littler winning in Aberdeen, both of them averaging just above 100, and a lovely checkout of 107 for Littler and 117 for Rob Cross. So that was the Premier League for this weekend. Now let's go back very much to the Euro Tour. I'm just going to go through the final day, so it won't let me go back further. But Chisnall Chisnall didn't. Cullen beat Chisnall 6-3. Van Veen beat Edhouse. Edhouse has been incredible. He's one to look out for on the Euro Tours this year. Van Veen beat him 6-4. Bunting beat Gurney 6-3. Schindler beat Clayton 6-3. Littler beat Ratajski 6-3. Noppert beat Rock 6-3. I'm getting bored of this scoreline. Ross Smith beat Closer 6-2. Van Gerwen beat Wright 6-4. In the quarterfinals, Did I say? No, sorry, the other ones were round of 16. This is the quarterfinals. Cullen beat Van Veen 6-3. Bunting beat Schindler 6-5. Littler beat Noppert 6-5. And Ross Smith beat Van Goen 6-1. In these semis, it was a great win for Joe Cullen, winning 7-5 in that one, And Littler obviously beating Ross Smith. Not obviously, sorry, I don't know why I said that. Ross Smith's had a great... Ross Smith just played incredibly recently. 7-2. And in the final, Cullen did sadly lose 8-4 to Littler, my favourite Cullen. Cullen averaged 85. His scoring boots weren't on, sadly, but Littler did average 102.71. It would have won against most players, no matter their performance. So that was Euro Tour in Graz. Now, I don't actually think we have many more things in the world of darts to talk about this week. Let me just check. No, but we have got Players' Championships in Hildesheim tomorrow and Tuesday. Bank holiday Monday, but the darts are still on, so get on PDC TV and watch the darts. I think Cullen's going to pick up a title. It's going to be an absolutely great couple of days of darts. So yes, thank you massively to Jared for coming on the podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please, in the Spotify link below, in the Spotify question box, leave your comments on who you would like me to have on the podcast in the next few weeks. This has been Jack signing out from this week's podcast. I'll see you in the next week. Goodbye.